What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy Tuesday to everybody. I'm gonna let folks jump in here, but I have a ton of questions today, so I will be answering them. So welcome everybody. Thanks for jumping in. What's up, Kathy? What's up, ALAC? I guess ALAC softball, Colorado. What's happening, y'all? Michelle, Madison. Good to see y'all. Good to see you, Rachel. All right, y'all, as always, let me know where you're coming in from. Hit me up. Let me know where you're at, where you're living, where you're from, where you're tuning in from. Let me know. What's up, Taisha? What's up, Addie? What's up, Duran? What's up, Gabriella? Excuse me. BP Serg, what's up? Hey, Coach, what's up, The Real Big Tune? It's my guy. You always here. You faithful. I love it. Addie, you're Maryland. Okay, what's up? I have been there only because I've coached there, but I've never experienced Maryland. You have to tell me what it's about. San Fernando. Okay, Callie just came from Palmdale. What's up, Madison? Just came from Palmdale, headed back to Cali this weekend. Colorado Stars home. Okay, yep, host the IDT. I know exactly who you are. What's up, Gabriella? Thick Pin, good to see you, girlfriend. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for joining. All right, cool. Where y'all from? Arkansas? All right, Arkansas. We've got different time zones here. Okay, yeah, I just got back from Palmdale, California. I'm heading out to Stockton and Tracy this weekend, so I will be out and about up there the next 2 weekends. Okay, Texas. All right, Zandra, good to see you. Wisconsin, let's go. Y'all been pretty faithful. I appreciate y'all for jumping in. Love it, love it, love it. So, y'all, New York, okay. What did you say? LI Pride? Okay, welcome. All right, y'all. Got a ton of questions. Riverside, what's happening? Got a ton of questions today. So what's up, Georgia? You gonna be Madison, make sure you speak to me. Don't be acting funny because you see me at the camp. Because I swear, I be hearing the whispers next to me like, is that Coach Carter from 360? Is that 360? I always get that to the side of me. It's okay. You can definitely speak to me. I want to know that you're here. Let's take a picture together. Let's share it on social media. Let people know that I be all over the place and I'd like to see athletes be successful. So make sure you speak to me, Madison. Now I'm gonna be looking for you, girlfriend. All right, y'all. So how does this work? For anyone that's new, I will put I will put in my stories on Monday night, which I did late last night. But on Monday nights, I will always post a story with a question in it that says, what questions do you want me to answer in the live? And so that's how you capture me in the live every Tuesday night. So I'll put it on Monday. It'll be up all day. So you can always submit your questions in that way. And then also you can DM me if you leave today and I have a question, she didn't cover it, send me a direct message. But the best way that I want you guys to know is my free community, which is a 360 athlete community. And all you have to do is, I believe, comment community. Now I don't know. Comment community on this post. And I believe it'll send you a link or a DM to get the link to go to my community. And I ask their questions in there. They always get priority on these. And I also answer the questions for them directly in that space. So if you're not already in the community, once this is all over, make sure you insert the word community if you're interested in joining. But all right, we got a lot of questions. Let's jump right in. So an easy question that someone asked me was, when sending emails or when sending updated emails to college coaches, should we start a new email or go off the last one? So yeah, Rodney, definitely follow the instructions on how you get questions answered. But the question is, when sending updates to coach's email, should I start a new email or go off the last email I sent? So if your email that you are sending as an update is in relation to what you posted, what you talked about in the last part of the email, then go ahead and reply and send the next email. If it's a new conversation, new subject, new video, new things like that, then create a new video thread or a new email thread. So an example of the two would be, hey, Coach, we got a tournament coming up pretty soon. Hey, Coach, here's my schedule for our tournament this weekend. Hey, Coach, here's an update from the tournament after the tournament's over with video highlights. So that's all based off of one subject. So you can make it all one email, just a reply. Now, if it was one tournament to the next, you would do a new email thread. If it was a one tournament to now an update on your skill or a new video, then you would make that separate, if that makes sense. So that's a very good question. I loved it. Next question, we have discrepancy, and this is the video that the person that just asked me is talking about. But we have a discrepancy. We have seen in different opinions on tagging coaches and programs on X. When posting showcases and tournament updates, is it okay to tag certain colleges or coaches? For instance, do you tag colleges A, B, C, and D 1 week and next post, yada, yada, yada? Does that make sense? Or don't tag them, or do coaches believe that if you don't tag them that you're not interested in their school? So just like my video just read, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go back and watch it. But what my video said was, there are 4 phases in the recruiting process, which we do cover almost every week when people ask me questions. But there is an identification or exposure phase. There is a evaluation phase. There is a comparison phase. And then there is a offer phase. And so what this means is, more times than not, we're not finding athletes by going on X or Twitter and typing in 2027 right-handed pitchers or 2026 shortstops. We're not doing that. How we usually find athletes is in 4 different ways. Either you have emailed us and now we want to go to your link and see, what your video looks like, right? We want to see what skills you provide based on your email, because maybe it's got our attention. 2, your travel ball coach, your lessons coach, a network connection to you, a network connection to us, has said, have you seen this athlete? Are you looking for this type of athlete? Check out their video, okay? Or you've come to one of our camps, or we've been at a showcase camp and we've seen you play at those showcase camps, and we want to learn more about you. The last one would be, we're watching a tournament and we're just kind of evaluating and observing, and we want to learn more about you. We're going to go to your social media. So we use social media to evaluate you. We don't necessarily use social media to find you. So that's part 1. Now, the second part of that is, you might say, well, if I tag you, you might have a better chance of finding me. And that could be true. However, if I find you and you're tagging me and 10 other schools, you're not making me feel special. And I can't believe that you are actually interested in my school more than you're interested in just getting noticed by college coaches in general, which is not a good look, right? It doesn't help your chances any differently. What you should do, post the video, send an email with the link to the video that lets us then see you and what you just posted. It's more personal, right? Because we always preach, when you send emails, personalize the email. So a personalized email and a personalized post that you DM to me or send to me in your email is going to always be better than you tagging me with 10 other coaches on your post. Now, if you go to a camp of mine and you took a picture with us and you're posting it, you can definitely tag us. That's completely fine. So good question. Next question. I hear a lot of coaches talking about Division I in tiers. So lower level, or tier 1s, top tiers, mid levels, lower levels. Where can you find out what colleges are in each tier and where my daughter should land when she's searching for schools? So that's a good question. So I don't know who came up with the tier system, but most people say Power 4, lower level Power 4, mid majors, and lower level Division I. So in general, you can kind of find this information by Googling NCAA softball RPI, okay? So you can also find it by rankings, but it only gives you the top 25. So the way you want to think about it is the top tier is usually the top 25 teams in the country. There are about 308 that are on the RPI. So the top 25 in the country are usually Power 5 schools or Power 4 schools. And they're also schools that compete usually in the World Series and things like that. So top 25 is usually that top tier. Okay. Some of the lower level P4s and I would say some mid majors. I would say if you look at the RPI, I would say through 60 or so in that list would be considered still top tier, right? So the top 64 in the country would still be considered top tier. Then you would kind of go from there. So basically mid-major would be probably 65 through 164, right? Or whatever. I kind of broke it down in the group so she understands. And then the last group would be those schools that are probably ranking in the 250 and below. So actually it's like 190 and below. So anyway, Google NCAA softball RPI. It'll show you how all the teams rank in the country. And that's kind of how you can determine what schools are top tier or Power Four, still higher level top tier, mid-major Division One, or lower level Division One. So that's a really complex question, but it was a good question. So I'm glad that she asked it. Now, how does her athlete know? Because this is a follow-up question. How does her athlete know which level she should be going to? So I have a similar question that I'm going to answer right now. A parent asked me, their athlete is a 2030 athlete. That means they're in 8th grade. How does she know which division they should be going after? And the answer to that is the younger you are, the higher you should be striving for, right? And so, like I said last week, the timing of recruiting plays a lot into it, not just skill. So we have a lot of great athletes that are unfortunately seniors who are not committed, and that's not your fault. However, the timeline doesn't present a fair shot at getting to a Power 4, Power 5 school as a high school athlete. So you have to start thinking about other ways to navigate community college, or, finding a different division. Unfortunately, that's a timing thing. There could be skill involved, but it could very well be timing. So if you are an 8th grader or a 9th grader and you have this much time, 2 to 3 years, you should be shooting for the highest level possible. Make sense? And I think in general, everybody should start shooting for that and then quickly making adjustments as you go to camps, as you go to showcases, as you get feedback from coaches on where you fit, what type of feedback you're getting, and then you should be making adjustments off of that. Some adjustments happen a lot quicker than others. So the older you are, you have to make those adjustments a lot quicker. So that's a really good question. Hopefully that helped answer the question. Thanks for sending your questions in the chat. Unfortunately, that's not how we do questions. And I just wanted to say it one more time. I will always put a post in my stories about asking questions on Monday nights, which goes throughout the day and throughout the day on Tuesday. So you can always submit your questions that way, and I will answer them. Or if you have questions right now and I don't answer them, then send me a direct message with your question. I'm happy to answer or add it to the queue for next week. But the best way would be to join my community where you can then ask questions. It's a free community, which when we're done with this live, type in community and it will send you a link that will then take you to my community, where you can ask your questions there and they get priority usually in this conversation. So again, I hope that helps. All right. So I made a post last week about common mistakes that people make in the recruiting process. And one of them was being loyal to your team for too long if they're not helping you navigate this process, or they're not giving you the development that you need. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate you. The community is awesome. Make sure you guys join. So a mom asked me a question. Can you provide me a short list of questions to ask when analyzing travel ball teams? And so I gave her a list of questions. It's in the community. So if you have those types of if you have that question, make sure you go in there. But the reality is a travel ball team should provide you with a few different things. It should provide you with opportunity for growth and development. It should provide you with opportunity for competition, okay? And not just in your area, but competition within your team, competition within your region, but for sure, competition with teams across the country. Your travel ball organization should also help you in the recruiting process. So that would be connection with coaches. That would be calling coaches for you. That would be maybe hosting showcases for their organization where college coaches come to them. That would be another way. And then I think the last part is like personal development. And I think that's something that I don't say often, but your travel ball team should also be helping you develop time management, mental performance, how to navigate dealing with people. So that would be what I would say. So when you understand what you're trying to get from a travel ball organization, then you ask questions that get you those answers, as in, do they do that or provide that within their organization? Okay, so that would be how I would think about it. I'm not going to go through all the questions. I probably gave her, I think, like 15 or 10 questions in the community. So I would definitely jump in there and get those questions, but just kind of keep that in mind when you are navigating this process. All right. Okay, cool. So let's jump into the other questions that I have. So when it comes to highlight reels and IGs, is music okay? Yes or no? So I love an athlete's creativity. I love an athlete's individuality when they're posting their reels. I would just say, don't let your music overpower us being able to see the video in its fullest potential. So sometimes we have coaches, we have like quotes that you put on there, motivation that we put on there, like words that are over our videos, and sometimes they're loud and overbearing, and sometimes we're like on our earphones, or we're in the place that we don't want to hear all of that information, all that noise. We just kind of want to watch your video. So I think sometimes I would just say, like, the music is completely fine. I don't think it needs to overpower what the video shows. Okay, the quotes are fine, but they don't need to overpower what the video shows. You are trying to showcase your skill. And quite frankly, there's nothing like a ball in a glove or a ball off the bat. Like, that sound is music to our ears. That's why we live in this. That's why we live in this profession, because we actually like those sounds. So keep that in mind as you go. It's not a bad thing. Don't let it overpower what you're doing. Okay. Good question. Good question. A similar question somebody asked was, do you need to have a professional video done when you're posting? I guess she's asking about posting videos. Does it need to be professional? And the absolutely not. Most of us have iPhones. If you have an Android, I'm not going to talk smack because I actually like Androids. So that's a conversation for another day. But most of us have the ability to capture ourselves doing the drills or doing things that we're working on through our phone. So don't make it harder for you to get evaluated, because remember that we're posting on social media to be evaluated. So don't make it harder to be evaluated because there's a barrier of having to hire someone professionally. Nope. Get yourself a tripod, which I'm on right now. Get yourself use your phone and press record. Now, as you kind of get through this process more, maybe you don't have, before this, if you don't have a tripod, then put it against a bucket and do the same thing. All right. But as you kind of get more advanced, then you would use things like CapCut to maybe give us words across the screen that says, like, what's happening in this clip, right? You can get more fancy in that way using things like CapCut or InShot. But in the beginning, no, you just need to be able to showcase your skill. And that can happen as long as it's clear in any form. So good question. All right, y'all. Look, I just want to say I appreciate y'all for jumping in. I see you guys jumping in. So thank you. All right. When communicating with coaches, when should I direct message versus send them an email? Good question. So what I'll say is that, Lord, excuse me, y'all. Allergy season. All right. So what I will say is most coaches on X specifically don't have their messaging or DM capabilities open. So a lot of times you won't see coaches direct message options available. So email is always going to be best. But if you do see someone that has that capability open, 100% send them a quick DM. What I would say about that is I get DMs, because mine is open. I get DMs a lot. I would just say, make sure that your message is short and sweet. It tells me about what your strengths are. And then you tag a video that you want me to look at. Okay. So make it something where I have to take an action. Not just you saying, hi coach, my name is such and such. I play for this team, yada, yada, yada. And just kind of leave it at that. Like, give them a video, make them go watch your videos, a link to your video, make them go watch your videos. That would be best. So what would be better, one or the other? I would say both. Use both. If the option's available, use both. I think any way that you're trying to connect with coaches, that's still personalized, which is the key. So I think that would be completely fine. So really good question. Next question. Sophomore daughter wants to play, but doesn't know what school she wants to attend. Yeah, this is a good question, which also another question asked was, where do you start when coming up with a list of schools to target? There are so many, and there are a ton of schools. So you are correct. So let's talk about both of these questions, and I think I can tackle them together. So when you are on this journey in the recruiting process, more than likely at first what you're doing is you're usually attracted by the big names or the schools that you have exposure to. So if you are in, let's say, an area where there's like, okay, let's say I'm from the university, let's say I'm from Washington. So in Washington, everybody knows the University of Washington first, right? There are three Division I schools in Washington. Most people know about the University of Washington. They might know about Washington State, but Washington State doesn't have softball. Very few people know about Seattle University, which is also a Division I school. But if you're in the area, you would know about that school, right? So I think first and foremost, we always attract what we know or familiar with. But as the journey goes on, we have to start asking ourselves some of these types of questions. How far is too far or too close to home? What type of weather would I prefer to play in or live in long term? I would say besides that, what major I want to go into. You might not know your major yet. So finding a school that has a majority of majors is going to be key, which is a lot of schools. So I would say that, but majors should drive your decisions, probably number one. What I would advise also is something that people don't think about is go watch those teams play and get a feel for the dynamic of the team in the games, as well as the dynamic of the coaches in the games. Because coaches, I'll be honest with you, I don't do this. I try not to do this. But a lot of coaches will present in the best way that they feel is possible, is special or not special. They present in a certain way, but you will get the realest from a coach when they are in a competition, when they have to compete. So when you go watch them play and you see how they respond to errors, when you see how they respond to losing, when you see how they respond to their players, having success, when you're paying attention to the players and the team, when their coach does that, you get the best information by watching them play. Now, TV doesn't do you justice, but it can also help. So I guess what I'm going with this is there are a lot of things that you should be doing research-wise to help. Another thing you should be thinking about is what types of athletes are they recruiting based off of what their system is. So some teams, like the University of Washington for a very long time, in the later 2000s, was all about speed, slappers, chaos on the field. And they were really good at defense. So they recruited a lot of athletes like assist Bates, right? They recruited a lot of athletes, like just all the athletes that are slappers. So they recruited a lot in that space. So when you watch them play, you get to understand their sort of style of athlete. And from there, I would say then look at your skill and say, do I fit that sort of criteria? So I'm kind of giving you a lot here, but a lot is going to be based off of your specific needs or desires when it comes to a school. So location, school size is another one. Getting to camps is also very helpful because you can kind of get a feel for the neighborhood. Some schools are in the middle of nowhere and you got to decide, do I want to drive 2 hours to get to a airport to get home? And if that is affected by then snow, that helps that too. Or do you want to be in a place where I could drive down the street, maybe within 20 minutes, the palm trees are out, I don't get flight delays often, and I'm able to kind of get on the plane and go home, like things like that. So I will reverse the question back to you and say, what are some of the things that you would be looking for in an environment, in a location, in a coaching style, in a style of play, in a competitive level, and then start your list there. And you can start with the name. And then as you go through this process longer in the journey, take the name out. And as things shift for what you want to see, check mark those, don't check mark others, and see where the school's at that provides you with that higher checklist item. So that's a really good question. So there you go. Ooh, all right. Let me come back to this one in a second. Where would it be more likely to get scouts from colleges around me to watch my games? Yeah. So Xandra asked this question. So yeah, if you are playing in a local tournament, you should 100% have local teams on your list, on your top 50 list. And you should 100% every time you're playing locally or in their area, reach out to those schools. You want to reach out to the other schools too, but 100% reach out to those local schools first. Because they'll most likely, if it's possible for them, will get out to a tournament. So when I first moved to Washington, I was pretty new. And I was a community college coach first, a head coach. And I was new to the area, so I didn't know much about softball, what was going on in that area. So on the weekends, what I would do is I would just drive out to different tournaments and find those schools, find those players, and just kind of watch those tournaments and see what I could come up with. So if you reached out to me, I'd be like, oh, I didn't even know that tournament was happening this weekend. And so then I would go. Make sense? So very, very good question. Where should we reach out to? Okay. All right. This is going to be a tough one. So can you speak when coaches string you along, say they're interested, but no offers? I'm going to come back to that actually. A reverse of this is one athlete that one parent just asked me, their athlete had an offer. They accepted an offer, but they've had other coaches that were interested in them. Is it okay for them to talk to them at tournaments? So, I will say yes, 100%. But here's the etiquette for offers. Okay. So if you get an offer from a school, but you have offers from multiple other schools, make sure that you call the other schools. Don't text them. Don't email them. Pick up the phone and call them and say to them, hey, coach, thank you so much for your interest in me. I would not be where I am. No, just thank you so much for your interest in me. Don't go fluffy on us. We hate that. Thank you so much for your interest in me. I have decided to take another opportunity or another offer, but I really appreciate you taking interest in me. You don't even got to wish all the best. Just say thank you. And I just want to let you know that I've made another decision. So that's perfect. That's great. That's a good job for you. Now, you commit to the other school. Okay. So call them first. Don't be posting on social media and thanking all the people and, post all the things. And then you call them. No, that worst thing you could do is have us find out by watching you on social media. Okay. Now let's say a coach is just interested in you and they never actually gave you an offer. And so you went with another offer. 100%, that's fine. Send them an email. Let them know. That's going to be an email. Let them know, hey, coach, just wanted to let you know that I've completed my recruiting process. I want to thank you for your interest in me. It was great getting to know you as a coach, but I'm going in a different direction, and I've decided to commit to this school. Completely fine. And so then it doesn't feel awkward when you're at a tournament and you see them because they'll most likely speak to you and you'll most likely speak to them. And there'll be no issues. Now it becomes an issue when I see you on social media saying you committed and then I see you out in public and I'm like, I have a bad taste in my mouth about that girl. So that does happen. So now the question is, what happens when coaches string you along in this case and you don't get the offer, but they say that they like you? So a couple of lives ago, I mentioned this. And I'll go back to my 4 phases in the recruiting process. Okay. So there is the evaluation or exposure phase. There is the evaluation phase. There is the comparison phase, and there is the offer phase. So in the case where you're having direct conversation with coaches, so I would say you're talking to them on the phone, you've had a Zoom call, you've had a visit. If you're not having those things, remember you are still in the comparison phase, maybe even the evaluation phase. So you only know that you're close to an offer if you're having visits and conversations. So I would say until you get to that point, you have to understand that the school is not 100% serious about you until that happens. If they're not asking for your transcripts or your NCAA number or asking you to come on a visit for an official visit, not a camp visit, then you're not in the comparison phase. So I think part of this process as a family would be having a realistic idea of where you actually are in the process. Coaches, again, and I hate to say it, I hate to be this person to say it, is that coaches are influencers. So sometimes they will do things to keep you on a hook as long as they can, in case they need you. But if a coach is not moving in any direction and you are a senior or a junior at this point, it would be best to just not put all your eggs into that basket. Okay. So that would be my first word of advice. Get a little bit clarity on where you are. If you are a senior or a junior at this point, I would straight up ask like, hey coach, just checking in on things. And if you have their phone number, this would be a great conversation to have. But hey coach, just checking in. I know we've kind of been communicating for a little bit of time. I would love to know kind of where you are with me in this recruiting process. Do you see me fitting your program? What's kind of some things that you still need to see from me to help you make a decision, which is where I was going to go with the second part. Now, if you have had a visit, you've been on campus with them, but you're not getting any further feedback, you're in the comparison phase. So they're comparing you and someone else or multiple other people. So that's just the way this process works. So if that is the case, there is something that you are not showcasing to them that makes them feel comfortable enough to move forward with an offer. So it could be they're not sure about your skill, they're not sure about your competition level, they're not sure about your family dynamics, they're not sure about your time management skills, your grades. There is something that is in the way. So again, same philosophy. Ask the question, thank you so much. We've had a visit. Coach, I've been visiting a few other schools. Could you let me know sort of where you are with me in the recruiting process? What else do you need to see from me to help you make the decision? If you don't get a response, that very well could be a response. Okay. So you have to be ready for that. When you ask forward questions, you're going to get forward answers. And this is exactly a scenario that I worked with one of my athletes, Jules, on, who just committed to Jackson State a week ago. But one thing we had to do was she had a lot of coaches that she had relationships with as far as like, I went to some camps and they really liked me there. I had a couple of coaches' phone numbers. They told me to keep coming back out to their camps and things like that. But we were a junior. So me as her advisor and as a coach in this space specifically said to her, no, we have to get clarity on the direction we're going next. Okay. So I advised her, I put together a text message for her that asked the question. Okay. And so when she asked the question, she would get certain responses, which made her feel good. But I had to tell her in reading through the lines that, hey, that response is they're not interested. Okay. And so that's guidance that like athletes who get to work with me have the opportunity to have. And I think in general, though, if you don't work with anyone specifically, like ask the questions. Okay. You have to be someone that's going to navigate this journey for yourself and advocate for yourself. Don't let coaches string you along. And I think if you start, this is where this top 50 list starts, because we should hopefully have a top 5 by the time we're seniors, and they should know who we are by that time. And we should be in communication with those types of schools. That's the goal. And if that's not happening for you, even as a junior, if you don't have a top 10 or things like that, or top 5, then we need to do some work to help you get there. Okay. So very good question. Let's see. I think one more. This athlete asked, or this parent asked, does it help if my athlete has a full ride scholarship, academic scholarship to a school? Will it help me in the softball aspect of getting on a team? And I think some people think this to be true. But in a lot of cases, it doesn't help. It's great that you have a full ride academic scholarship to a school. 100% reach out to the program, to let them know that. It could be beneficial. They might have needed an extra body. They might need a manager. They might need a base runner. That could be really good. But if you don't necessarily want to fall under those categories, I think the better way would be to figure out how to get your skill noticed by them. But again, if you're at this senior year, you already know what your academics is. Again, time is really important in recruiting. And so your window of time might have passed for that particular school. It might not have, but if it's a Division I school, just the window of time might have passed. So if you don't want to succumb to being asked to become a bullpen catcher or a runner or a manager, then I would say either I'm going to find other schools that I can get more of an opportunity to play or develop in, and then get back to this school, or I'm just going to go and be a student, which would really suck. So That is a scenario I don't want any of you to ever go through. I want you to hopefully have this information so that you're able to navigate this journey accordingly. And I think at the end of the day, as always, the most important thing is that you are valuable, that an offer or a school's interest in you does not change that. All right. And so as we kind of close out today, as I always say, that out of 8 billion people in the world, there's only one of you, which makes you unique, valuable, and enough. And this journey sometimes causes you to second guess yourself, to doubt yourself, to believe that you're not good enough. And that's very rarely the case. And the self-doubt, we have to figure out how to work through that. But that's really the case. The real case is that you got to just find the way to connect those schools or utilize your network to help you reach out to those schools so that you can showcase your strengths, because that's what we want to see. Your value is not questioned in this sort of process. So remember that as you go through this journey. As always, if you have questions, I will always put the prompt up on Monday nights for you to ask your questions. You can also direct message me your questions, but the best way would be to join the community. So when this is over, type in the word community or send me a direct message with the word community and I will send you the link to that. Jump in there. And then one final thing, I have a story playing right now on my page where I'm looking for some athletes in different ages that are interested in being a part of a small group of athletes that I get to work with individually for 3 months. Weekly phone calls or weekly live calls, or bi-weekly, it might be bi-weekly. But you get a course that gives you all the information, templates, all the things. And it's a good place for athletes who are just getting started. It's a good place for athletes who are started but don't have good traction. It's a good place for seniors who need to figure out what to do pretty fast. So we'll have different cohorts, and I'm looking for a certain amount of athletes, but it has to be people that are going to take this seriously. So if you saw the story, I think you just got to type in 360 or comment 360. It'll ask you a few questions. It'll send you directly to the information for how to sign up. And only those who are serious about signing up will get to move forward with me. We start literally this week after November 1st, immediate access to myself. And we're going to figure out this thing together. I had another athlete commit last week. Actually, I got the text on Friday. Another athlete to commit. JUCO players, good question. I'm not sure. Maybe we could talk about that. But another commit this week to Central Washington University. This is one of my athletes that I actually developed this entire program based off of. I worked with her over 3 months, and within the 3 months, we were able to get a lot of different schools to look at her over the summer. We were able to figure out what her strengths were and how to showcase them, what coaches were looking for in that space, and how to showcase that so that we can get them recruited. And so she had been sitting on this offer for a while, and I had advised her, like, I don't know why we're waiting. It checked all your boxes. We had a plan. We communicated with the other coaches that they were no longer interested, that she was no longer interested. And yeah, so we were able to make it happen. So she officially committed this week. So super excited for her. It's on Insta on my stories. I will put it in the community as well, but it's definitely on Insta. And it's definitely not too early for 2029s, because that's part of this process, is making sure that you're on the right track as you move through this process, and that you have someone that's giving you direct guidance. So, all right, y'all, I appreciate you. Have a good night. Remember that God loves you. So do I. I'm headed out to Cali. So if you're in Tracy or Stockton the next 2 weeks, hit me up. I will be there. But if not, I will see you next week. Peace, y'all. Have a good week. Bye.